Hey, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go over our notes on volcanoes. All right, so what is a volcano? First and foremost, a volcano is a place on the Earth's surface where molten rock and gases are able to escape. Now, not all volcanoes are large mountains spewing fire and ash like you often see. Some volcanoes are simply just holes or cracks in the Earth's crust. Now, where to find volcanoes? Most volcanoes are found along subducting plate boundaries. Subducting tectonic plates break off and form trapped pockets of magma. We can see that right here, where this oceanic plate is being subducted underneath the continental plate, and as it breaks off and it goes back down into the Earth's core, or towards the Earth's core, excuse me, it heats up and it starts to, melt, and this melting rock will create pockets of magma over here. Now, most of the volcanoes on the planet are found around the Pacific Ocean in what's called the Ring of Fire. This is a large plate boundary around the oceanic plate there that a lot of volcanoes are found around. It's where most of the volcanic activity on the Earth exists, and we can see that right here. So right around the outside of the Pacific plate, that's where most of the volcanoes on Earth are located. Now, stages of life. Volcanoes can be described in three different ways. There's active volcanoes, dormant, and extinct volcanoes. Active volcanoes have a recent history of eruptions and will continue to erupt in the future. Dormant volcanoes show no recent history of eruptions, but may still erupt in the future. And then extinct volcanoes are no longer expected to erupt. Now, this is due to the magma chamber underneath those volcanoes. If the magma chamber is depleted and it's no longer being refilled, that volcano is extinct because it no longer has anything that can erupt out of it. Now, these magma chambers are going to be fueled by the tectonic plates underneath. So, if these tectonic plate boundaries shift over time, then these volcanoes may no longer continue to be active. Now, there are six major types of volcanoes that we're going to talk about here today. All right. The first one is a fissure volcano. I'm going to move my camera here for a minute. The first one is a fissure volcano. This is one of the ones I was talking about that doesn't look like a giant mountain. However, it still looks pretty cool. A linear volcanic vent from which lava can erupt. So this is just basically a crack in the Earth's crust. So we see this fissure here. All right, and we can see the magma coming up through that fissure. Now, these don't have any explosive activity, meaning they're not going to have a giant fiery explosion like a normal volcano. However, they can still spew fire in the form of what's called a curtain of fire. You can see that right down here. So you can see that giant wall of lava shooting straight out of the Earth's crust. We have lava channels here. So you're going to see these giant lava channels. As you often see these in Hawaii. These lava channels will flow through or along, or out of, or along these faults. There's a shield volcano. These are the largest types of volcanoes. They form a wide dome that wide dome shape, and are often asymmetrical, which means that they're not going to look the same on either side. We can see that right here where it's a little off kilter. They often will have vents on the sides that will kind of like that fissure or that on the previous slide. They'll often have little vents and stuff like that alongside of them. The bases of these volcanoes can be several miles wide, and they will erupt gradually, not explosively. So they'll have slow eruptions where we'll see lava flowing down the sides, stuff like that. No giant fiery eruptions. Dome volcanoes. Their giant dome shape gives the volcano its name. So our shield volcano had a dome shape, but it was more of a gradual. These are a little bit more steep. All right. Formed from thick, viscous lava that flows very slowly, expands from within. So rather than having a giant fiery eruption, these kind of build outwards. These erupt slowly, often forms inside of a composite volcano crater, so these will often form inside of another volcano. A cinder cone volcano. Now, these cinder cone volcanoes have a distinct cone shape, so they have these long, smooth sides here. All right. They're made of igneous rock, and a lot of ash. They feature a single vent, so they only have the one magma chamber and the one vent going straight up the middle, and they're formed from fallen rock and cinder that cool and create this large bowl-shaped summit. So this is all volcanic material that's made up this giant volcano here. Our composite volcano, so a steep cone shape made of layers of cinder, ash, and lava. These feature the most violent eruptions. They again have one large vent or a clustered group of vents down the middle, and these volcanoes build up over hundreds of years. We can see that these things can be absolutely massive. Now, these are very similar to our cinder cone but these are kind of a hybrid between our cinder cone and a standard that also has that rock composite or composition. Excuse me. Our caldera volcano. Now, these are more of a hole in the ground kind of volcano. This is what happens when these form from a erupting volcano that collapses into itself. The collapse occurs when the magma chamber below that volcano empties and no longer supports the volcano. These volcanoes are generally anywhere from 1 to 100 kilometers wide. Now, that magma chamber is the same magma chamber I was referring to during the different stages of life. It's right below the volcano. If it completely empties, and it empties in a way that compromises the structural integrity of the mountain on top of it or volcano on top of it, that volcano will fall into itself. So we end up with this bowl shape or caldera. It looks kind of like a crater in the ground, but those are volcanoes as well. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our volcano notes here today. I hope you guys have a good one.